Project planning techniques and tools. So managers are frequently responsible for projects, which are one-time sets of activities that have a clear beginning and ending. A project manager is in charge of overseeing and coordinating the work of the project staff. So as we all know, managers, they are responsible for those projects, a specific project that has a beginning and has an ending. So a project manager is in charge of overseeing and coordinating. So not just identifying a project with beginning and ending, also manager is in charge of overseeing and coordinating the work of the project staff. So two well-known planning and control models are the Gantt chart and PERT. So first, Gantt charts. The Gantt chart is a graphical chart that shows which task must be completed at which times in order to complete a project or task. This chart, originated by Henry Gantt, visually indicates this task, showing time in various units on the x-axis and the task on the y-axis. So Gantt chart serves as the graphical or a visual chart that help us in identifying which task to be done at first in order to complete a project. So this is, for example, serves as our basis or schedule in order to complete our task. So this is a Gantt chart. So as we can see at the Gantt chart, there is a task name, planning, research, design, implementation, follow-up. So over here on the left side is the date. So next is the PERT chart. During the 1950s, the US Navy faced the immense task of coordinating the efforts of 11,000 contractors involved in developing the Polaris, the first submarine that could remain submerged while launching long-range ballistic missile. As a result, the Defense Department, with the help of Lockheed Aircraft Corporation, invented the Program Evaluation and Review Technique, which is also known as PERT or PERT, a network planning method for managing large projects around the same time. So this is an example of a PERT model. So event or milestone, non-dependency, no dependency, task, number of days, dependency. So other planning techniques. There are a number of quantitative planning techniques that can greatly facilitate the work of many managers. Some of the more prominent models are first, the linear programming. Linear programming is a quantitative tool for planning how to allocate limited or scarce resources so that a single criterion or goal, often profit, is optimized. This planning tool is of value when a choice must be made from alternatives too numerous to evaluate with traditional methods. It also can be used to determine optimal combinations of the resources of a firm to achieve objective or to allocate scarce resources optimally. So linear programming, this is a quantitative tool, which means it has data or a gathering of data, to help allocate limited or scarce resources. When we mean by scarce, it is, lacking. Parang di siya kumpleto or kulangan. So this planning tool is of value when a choice must be made from alternatives. So when we say lacking, so we really need to find an alternatives for a specific thing. So this linear programming may help us in, allocating alternatives. So next is queuing or waiting line method. This studies random arrivals at a servicing or processing facility with limited capacity. This model or theory allows management to calculate the length of future waiting lines. So number 3 is routing or distribution models. Are quantitative tools designed to assist managers in planning the most effective and economical approaches to distribution problems. The development of these mode, sometimes referred to as network optimization analysis. Number 4 is simulation. Is a mathematical imitation of reality. It entails studying a problem by creating a model of the process involved in that problem, and then through a series of organized trial and error solutions, attempts to determine the best solution to that problem. So simulation is a mathematical imitation of reality. So in order to solve the problem, it is by creating a model of the process involved in that problem. Then through a series of organized trials and errors. So you have to undergo trials and errors in order to attempt or to determine the best solution to that problem. So decision making. Decision making is the process of choosing a solution from available alternatives. Rational decision making is a systematic process in which managers define problems and evaluate alternatives and choose optimal solutions that provide maximum benefits to their organization. Also, the decision-making process is either programmed or non-programmed, so which means it is divided by 2. So now, next is programmed decision-making. Is a routine, virtually automatic process that follows established rules or guidelines. So involves those decisions that already have a plan or rule in place and is used to reach a solution or conclusion. In other words, in this program decision making, managers have already made such decisions before and is a repetitive and routine process. They follow established guidelines and routine patterns. So in this program decision makings, so managers already know the process. Next is non-program decision making. It's a non-routine decision making that occurs in response to unusual, unpredictable opportunities and threats. This type of decision making takes place when there are no ready-made decision rules that managers can apply to a situation. So this is the opposite of program decision making. So program decision making is a routine on a daily basis, but non-program decision making is a non-routine decision making, so it is spontaneous, so unpredictable opportunities and threats. So this type of decision making takes place when there are no ready-made decision rules. Next is steps in the decision making. First is recognize the need for a decision. Some stimuli usually spark the realization that environment and result in new kinds of opportunities and threats. Second is generate alternatives. So when you recognize the need for a decision, we need to generate alternatives for a specific problem. So the manager must generate a set of alternative courses of action to take in response to the opportunity or threats. So we need to find alternatives in order to solve that specific problems. So number 3 is assess alternatives. Once alternatives have been set by the managers, they must assess or evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of each one, or choose among alternatives. The next task is to rank alternatives using a predetermined set of criteria and make a decision. Number 5, implement the chosen alternatives. Once the decision has been made and an alternative has been selected, it must be implemented and many subsequent and related decisions must be made. So lastly is learn from feedback. Effective managers always conduct a retrospective analysis to see what they can learn from past success or failures.